For 100 years, the blood of the dragon took whatever it wanted with fire. But Aegon the Conqueror did not fall to a spear or a sword or a scorpion bolt. He died in his bed, an old man, in his own keep on Dragonstone. And for the first time in the history of House Targaryen, the Iron Throne would not be won. It would be inherited. He left 2 sons, Aenys, the gentle one, a singer with a sweet voice who loved music and soft silks and wished only to be loved in return, and Maegor, taller, broader, fearsomely strong, a man who lived for war, knighted at 16 with the Valyrian blade Blackfire, the youngest knight in all the 7 kingdoms. One brother was born to please, the other was born for war, and between them stood a throne built of 1,000 swords, and a mother who had already chosen her favorite. "Even Aenys sees it," Queen Visenya said. "Only Maegor has the strength to rule." This is the story of the gentlest dragon who ever wore the crown, and the holy war that would burn his kingdom to ash. In the 37th year after the conquest, Aenys Targaryen, the first of his name, claimed his father's seat. Thousands came to cheer him as he sat the Iron Throne, still standing amidst mounds of rubble and mud where the Red Keep had not yet begun to rise. Then he journeyed to Old Town, and in the starry sept the High Septon anointed him as he had once anointed the Conqueror, and crowned him with yellow gold, set with the faces of the 7 in jade and pearl. Aenys was charming and clever and kind. He was a fine singer. Young girls doted on him. He dabbled in alchemy and astronomy, delighted in dancers and wits, and wished only that his people love him as he loved them. But even as the High Septon blessed him, others were already whispering. Westeros needed a warrior, they said, one to another. And Maegor was plainly the stronger of the dragon's 2 sons. Foremost among the whisperers was his own mother. "Even Aenys sees it," the Dowager Queen Visenya said. "Why else would he give Blackfire to my son? He knows only Maegor has the strength to rule." Aenys wanted above all things to be loved. But a throne forged from 1,000 swords is not held with love, and his mettle would be tested, far sooner than anyone imagined. The wars of conquest had left scars across the realm. Sons dreamed of avenging long-dead fathers. Lords remembered when they answered to no king at all. "The chains the dragon forged can yet be broken," they told one another. "Now is the time to strike, for this new king is weak." And strike they did. Not one rebel king rose against Aenys, but 4. In the Riverlands, an outlaw calling himself Harren the Red seized the vast ruins of Harrenhal and fed its cruel lord's manhood to a dog. In the Vale, Jonos Arryn deposed his own brother, the boy who had once flown thrice around the giant's lance on dragonback, and cast him screaming through the moon door. On the Iron Islands, a priest walked out of the sea, naming himself Lodos, the son of the drowned god, returned at last. And high in the Red Mountains rose the Vulture King, calling all Dorne to vengeance. 30,000 flocked to him. He stormed Blackhaven, sliced the nose from its lord, and put the castle to the torch. 4 crowns, 4 rebellions, and a king who did not know where to begin. Grand Maester Gawain wrote that Aenys could not comprehend why this was happening. The small folk loved him, did they not? "If they have grievances," the king said, "why not bring them to me? I would have heard them out." He gave commands, then countermanded them. He summoned councils while his castles burned. And as the king wavered, others reached for the sword. While the king wavered, his lords took the field, some on their own authority, others at the command of the Dowager Queen, and one man answered with fire, for at last Prince Maegor had claimed a dragon of his own. Not a young dragon, fresh from the egg, but Balerion, the Black Dread, the greatest dragon in the world, the beast his father had ridden to burn Harrenhal and win a kingdom. When Maegor appeared in the sky above the Eyrie, the garrison did not wait for his fire. They seized the rebel Jonos and cast him through the moon door, as he had done to his brother. It did not save them. Maegor took the castle and hanged every captured knight naked, kicking from the walls. Traitors, he decreed, deserved only a rope. In the south, old Orys One Hand rode from Storm's End one final time and shattered the Dornish at Stonehelm. When the son of the man who had taken his hand was dragged before him, wounded but alive, Orys said, "Your father took my hand. I claim yours as repayment." He took the man's hand, then his other hand and both his feet. He called them his usury, and he died smiling. One by one the false kings fell, and when Harren the Red was finally run to ground, Prince Maegor came home a hero. King Aenys embraced his brother before a cheering throng and named him Hand of the King. 2 young dragons hatched that year in the fires of Dragonstone, and men called it a sign. The realm had been saved, but not by its king. And everyone had noticed. For nearly 2 years, the sons of the dragon ruled together. But they were made of different stuff. Aenys trusted everyone. Maegor trusted no one. The king bent like a reed in the wind. His brother was rigid as an iron rod, unyielding, unbending. The break, when it came over a woman. Maegor's wife, Lady Cerys, had given him no children, and so in the 39th year after the conquest, the prince stunned the realm. He declared Cerys barren and took a second wife, Alice of House Targaryen, wed to him in a Valyrian rite by blood and fire, without the leave, the knowledge, or the presence of the king. 2 wives, 1 living. The faith called it sin. From the starry sept, the High Septon thundered against this whore of Harroway. Across the 7 kingdoms, pious lords took up the cry, and men spoke openly of Maegor's whore. Vexed and angry, King Aenys gave his brother a choice. Put the woman aside and return to your lawful wife, or suffer 5 years of exile. Maegor chose exile. In the 40th year after the conquest, he sailed for Pentos, taking Lady Alice, his dragon Balerion, and the sword Blackfire. When the king asked him to leave the blade behind, Maegor's answer was cold as Valyrian steel. "Your grace is welcome to try and take her from me." And across the realm, in every hall, the lords began to ask the same quiet question. How can he rule the 7 kingdoms when he cannot even rule his own brother? With his brother across the sea, King Aenys turned to his obsession. A great new castle of pale red stone rising atop Aegon's high hill. "My descendants shall rule from here for 1,000 years, he declared. And thinking of those descendants, in the 41st year after the conquest, Aenys Targaryen made the blunder that would destroy him. He announced that his son and heir, Prince Aegon, would wed his own daughter, Princess Rhaena. The faith had looked away when the conqueror married his sisters. It would not look away for his grandchildren. From the starry sept came a blistering condemnation, read by 10,000 septons across the realm. Any child of this union would be an abomination in the sight of gods and men. His whole life, Aenys had been ruled by indecision. Now, at the worst possible moment, he chose to be stubborn. His mother gave him a plain choice: abandon the marriage or mount his dragon and burn the starry sept down around the High Septon's head. Aenys did neither. He simply persisted. The wedding was held beneath the eyes of the warriors' sons, in gleaming silver armor, marking every guest who dared attend. And then, Aenys made it worse. At the feast, he named his son Aegon the Prince of Dragonstone, a title that had belonged to Maegor. A hush fell over the hall. Queen Visenya rose and stalked out without a word. That night, she flew for Dragonstone on Vhagar, and when the dragon passed before the moon, Men swore that orb turned red as blood. The pious jeered the newlyweds at every turn of their royal progress. When peasants flung dirt at the princess, Rhaena turned in her saddle and said, "The next time I come, I will be on a dragon. Throw dirt on me then, I pray you." The king had misjudged everything. The temper of his kingdom, the piety of his people, the power of the High Septon's words. This was no longer rebellion. It was holy war. From Old Town, the High Septon named him King Abomination, a pretender and a tyrant with no right to rule. Less than a fortnight later, the king's own hand, Septon Myrmison, was dragged from his litter in the streets of King's Landing and hacked to pieces with axes by the poor fellows. The warriors' sons seized the gates of the city and turned the sept on the hill of Aenys into a fortress. Then, assassins scaled the walls of the king's own manse and broke into his bedchamber. Only the king's guard saved Aenys from an ignoble death in the dark. Shaken and afraid, the king fled to Dragonstone and into the arms of the one person who despised his weakness most. "You are a fool and a weakling, nephew," Visenya greeted him. "Do you think any man would ever have dared speak so to your father? You have a dragon. Use him. Fly to Old Town and make the Starry Sept another Harrenhal. Or give me leave, and let me roast this pious fool for you." Aenys would not hear of it. He sent his mother to her chambers and shut the door. By the end of that year, half the realm had pulled down the king's banners and declared for the Starry Sept. An envoy of the Iron Bank wrote home that the High Septon was now the true king of Westeros, in all but name. The new year found King Aenys still on Dragonstone, sick with fear and indecision. He was but 35, yet men said he looked 60. He took to his bed with cramps and fevers that no maester could cure. Then his mother took charge of his care, and for a time he seemed to improve, until word came that thousands of poor fellows had surrounded Crakehall, where his son and daughter were trapped. The king collapsed. 3 days later, Aenys Targaryen was dead. His own dragon, Quicksilver, set his funeral pyre alight on Dragonstone. But his mother was not there to mourn him. Within an hour of the king's death, Visenya had mounted Maegor and flown east across the narrow sea. When she returned, Maegor was with her, on Balerion. He landed on Dragonstone only long enough to claim a crown. Not the golden crown of the seven that his brother had worn, but the iron crown of the Conqueror, set with blood-red rubies. His mother placed it upon his head, and the lords knelt. Only one man dared object. Old Grand Maester Gawain spoke the law the Conqueror himself had affirmed. The Iron Throne belonged to Aenys' son, Prince Aegon. Maegor's answer would echo through 300 years of history. "The Iron Throne will go to the man who has the strength to seize it." And with a single swing of Blackfire, he took the old man's head. The gentle king was dead. The rightful heir was a hunted boy half a realm away. And a giant now sat the throne with the greatest dragon in the world at his command, and a whole faith risen in arms against him. Westeros was about to learn a new name. A trial of 7 champions. Dragonfire poured upon men at prayer. Wives the singers would call the Black Brides. The maesters would remember him as Maegor, the first of his name. Maegor the Cruel. Next time on Fire and Blood, the dragon turns upon his own. If you want to see how far a king will go to hold a throne he was never meant to have, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what comes next.